Shut up and sit down.
What is going on, dads, and welcome to episode 12 of the Dads After Dark Show, recorded on Sunday, June 7th, 2020. We are your hosts, Drew and John, and thank you for joining us tonight for some Nintendo and bikini armor. John, what is going on? What's going on, period? What's going on with you?
I hope people got that bikini armor reference, because I sure did.
Well, we will later.
We will. Well, May 29th came, and all the games came out, and then June 5th came, and all the games came out. It's kind of refreshing, Drew, to be able to talk about this avalanche of games, finally.
So what was your go-to for the May 29th selection, right? Because there was a lot of options. Did you just go one game there?
So, yeah, I was going to start with XCOM 2. I had actually talked to Justin, and I was going to review XCOM 2 for the Nintendo Dads, and I didn't get to pre-order. I don't really pre-order games until a couple of days before, because they don't sell out. Yeah. Unless it's a limited edition or something. And I went to do it, and they didn't have it available at my Best Buy. So I had it shipped. They said it would arrive day of May 29th. I was like, okay. And then, it got pushed a little bit to late Saturday. So I just decided I'm going to review Xenoblade. So I started with Xenoblade. And
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But, so did you get the game?
I did get both Xenoblade and XCOM.
Okay.
I'm interested in BioShock and Borderlands, but they're both first person. And much like Jesse, that sometimes gets me dizzy. So I feel like if I'm going to try a first person game, it's going to be BioShock, because I like a good story game and I've heard really good things. But yeah, all the games that came out May 29th are really exciting to have on the platform. I've heard really good things about the Borderlands port. So yeah, very excited. So Xenoblade's going to take up a month. But yeah, I'm excited to get to the others with maybe a caveat we can talk about in a little bit. What about you? What did you play?
I've been playing a few things. I also decided to go with the Xenoblade because I'll be honest, I played Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Chronicles X back on the Wii U, and I love the franchise. I'm a sucker for games. You know what? We'll get to that in a minute. But the franchise is amazing. So I went with Xenoblade. I thought about XCOM. You almost convinced me, but I didn't pull the trigger. As we talked about, I have my schedule, right? I have my 6-week plan, right? It was Xenoblade. I have to average 15 to 18 hours a week. It's going to be very difficult. I'm at about, how long has it been out for?
A week.
Oh, shit. I'm behind. I'm probably at 18 hours. Around there.
And you're good.
I'm okay so far. I knew Clubhouse games were coming up. I picked that up digitally. And then again, I have to have all this done by July 17th for Paper Mario because I have to. It's not an option. But Clubhouse games, John. Great game. Amazing game. I mean,
kind of surprises you.
It does. And it definitely, I think Nintendo or somebody mentioned it, I've even written Discord earlier. It is almost brings you back to the Wii Sports, the Wii Play. Wasn't there one other one?
Wii Sports Resort.
Yeah, it kind of brings you that back a little sense. I think the games are a little bit simpler than those. But there's 51 games. I mean, I'm sure there's 20 games I'll never even open, but it doesn't matter because I think the other one is so fun. But the sleeper part of this game is my kids love it.
I told you that they would.
I know. I sent a video to you a little bit while ago about my son, who's only three and a half, playing darts. And he's just having the time of his life. He's dancing, throwing the darts. He doesn't care if he misses the board or gets a bullseye. He did. He actually got a bullseye. His kid went berserk. But
quick thing about that video does he have the strap around the wrist? Because I was watching it and I was nervous as shit because it was he's running at your TV and hawking it, man.
He does not. In fact, I didn't put on the I didn't have the little the slider on, but it has the strap in that. I put them on today, and my daughter said, "Why do I have to wear this? I hate this." And then I said, "Just put the strap on." And she didn't do it, and she literally threw it across the room, and I almost cried. I said, "No, my yellow Joy-Cons!"
Yeah, I would not.
And then she felt bad, and then I felt like, "Oh, I shouldn't have yelled." But,
she's like, "I'll put the strap on."
She
Dad.
did. She said,
Yeah.
"It's just not uncomfortable." I said, "Well, I don't care." But yeah, Clubhouse games. I mean, what an amazing game. It's so many unique end games that like fit and don't fit. But speaking of kids playing, John, I heard your son had a little obsession with an odd game.
The turtle game? Yeah.
Turtle.
When we saw the trailer for it, he has a they have like a Mac that they all kind of share downstairs, and we put some games on there, but I didn't like let them put on like, real video games. So, but they have this this little train game where you have to move the tracks and the trains come in. Yep. And you move the tracks around. You try to get it like from one station to the next. So my son, when he saw the turtle game with the wind-up turtle, he was like, "Ooh!" Like he was interested in it, and he started playing that one just on his own. He remembered the turtle and he wanted to play it, and he's adorable watching him play. I mean, he's 11. I mean, I'm not like 4-year-old adorable here, but he's like playing and he's like turtle, like, and it's like that's a really hard game. Like It is way harder. He finally got all the crystals. He had to play like 7 times. Yeah. He gets all the crystals, and he thought he was done. And it just refreshes the crystals. It keeps going.
So that's what I was going to ask you. It will just keep going until you hit the wall or fall off a track, rather.
Yeah, no. Oh yeah, it keeps going until you die. And when you clear a whole screen of crystals, if you don't do anything else, that's 1 star out of like 4. Like, it's actually a bad ending. But terrible.
Speaking of that, it's funny. They do have almost mini achievements in the game, right?
There's some unlockables, right? Yeah, I think in that game, if you score 300 points in Turtle, I think it unlocks a rabbit or something like that.
Correct. And I don't know what they all do. I have to play around with it. But I saw like when I was playing golf, I had a really good score and some stuff popped up, and it's like I don't know if it said achievements, but it definitely said stuff like, yeah, you did this, and put a little star next to it.
Definitely some unlocks. I did want to say there's not that many 4-player games. I think it might be my only gripe about it is there's only like 2 or 3 4-player games. Mm-hmm. One of them is Texas Hold'em, which I am not playing with my kids.
Why?
Because they can play on their own if they want to. I'm not in the mood to explain poker strategy.
Let me ask you about that. How do you play Texas Hold'em 4 players in the same room?
Like on Clubhouse?
Yeah.
You just have 4 Joy-Cons.
Yeah, but can't anyone see your cards?
Can anybody see your cards? That's a good question. I don't even know. They were playing behind me. I didn't even look to see. So that's a good question. Yeah, that's a really good question. How do you do that?
I mean, you can't.
I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't think they would. They aren't like savvy enough to even know that.
So you're just going to be savvy enough to destroy them?
True. But
how are you so good at this game? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. The one 4-player game that we did play was Ludo, which is
okay. I saw that. I guess my daughter wanted to play that, but I said I think it takes a while.
It actually does take a while, and in the beginning it's like but we got a game going yesterday, and we had stopped before lunch because I had seen a feature saying that they automatically bookmarked your game, so we were about to have lunch, and I said if I just hit end, it's gonna save the game, and it didn't save the game. So we played again after lunch, and it was me and my 3 kids, and I'm telling you, it was a blast. I think the game took like an hour. Wow. But the way you play Ludo is you have 4 pieces, and they start at the beginning, and they have to get around the board and then get into this victory lane. And then once it's in the victory lane, that piece is done.
Parcheesi. It's Parcheesi.
But I've heard it's like Parcheesi and Sorry. But in order to get out of the starting point, you need to roll a 6. Mm-hmm. Okay? So you can't get out unless you roll a 6, which actually adds a lot of strategy to it. My son, he got 1 piece into the victory lane. He had 3 pieces left, and he rolled, and it was like a 2, and the game goes pass. And he like looking at me like, what is pass? And I go, oh, you don't have any pieces on the board, and you have to roll a 6 to get out. And he's like, oh, okay. And then his next roll came up, and it takes a little while, like everybody to roll and pick what.
Oh yeah.
And he rolls a 3, and it's like pass. And he's like, and he's like, how long is this gonna be? And I joked to him like, probably about the next 10 minutes. Like you're not gonna get a 6.
Yep.
I am not kidding. 20 minutes. We played for 20 minutes. He could not roll a 6. And he's 13, so he's on that precipice of he's still a kid.
Yeah.
But he's getting older. At some point, he kind of moved out of the room, and he was like by the door outside the room. And then when it was his turn to roll, we'd go like, Cedric. And then you'd see his arm move with the Joy-Cons outside the door, and it would be like 4. And we just started laughing like every time. Couldn't stop laughing because it was like funny. Incredible. Wouldn't you know, he was like starting to really tear up. My wife was like walking in, and she's like, Cedric's outside crying, and I'm like, and it's like because sometimes kids are not young and they're too young to realize you're not laughing at them. You're laughing with it's a random game. He has no control over it. He's pressing a button,
Yeah.
It was so funny. Almost peed myself like 3 times. It was so funny. And
you were the bad dad. You were laughing at him.
Well, and one of the moments I'll remember for the rest of my life is when he rolled. We were like, Cedric, and he rolled, and it was a 6. And we were all like, ah!
That's awesome.
It was just the greatest. And then he comes in and he's like looking at the screen like, oh my God.
Yeah. See, that's fun. That's cool. I'm excited to see my kids get a little bit older and play games. I mean, at 3 and 6, I don't think my kids should sit there for an hour and play that game. Like we play a game of like Trouble, the board game, and it's like we barely get through it. My daughter might, and maybe my son would watch, but that's cool that you'd have to play with your kids and witness that. But
I mean, the games are so like small and they're different, and I mean like you said, like your kids may not play Ludo for an hour, but your kids could easily play Clubhouse games for an hour.
Oh, absolutely. They actually were battling each other today with the slot car derby, which is perfect for a 3 and 6-year-old because they were like, how do I play? I'm like, just hold the A button. They're like, right. I was like, when you get to a turn, just, kind of tap it or don't push it anymore.
Right.
But yeah, just watching them just flying off the track.
It is hilarious.
And it was like they were battling. So it was, if you want
to have a really good time, I don't know if you did this, but have your kids race and then you do the announcing. my kids were cracking up because I was like announcing it, and every time the thing would go flying over a turn.
Oh yeah,
it's so much fun. They're a lot of fun, and you know what else? Kids are going to learn a lot of games through this because they explain the games very easily, and they're going to learn a lot of these games really quick. So this is like good training for adulthood.
Yeah, and then we could talk forever. I mean, there's tons of other games that we didn't talk about, right? There's the toy baseball, toy soccer, toy tennis games. There's battle tanks. There's bowling, which is pretty much a replica of like a Wii bowling game. There's a shooting gallery, which you use your Joy-Con to kind of point and click like a Duck Hunt type style game. It goes on and on. And then, like you said, there's millions of card games. I played a game of War today. Why? I mean, why not? But it was it's an amazing game. And if you are excited about what me and John are talking about right now, you need to head over to the Nintendo Dad's Discord channel. If you're not, for $1, you can join. And this month, starting today, all the way through July 12th, our monthly Mayhem game is this. It's Clubhouse Games, and it's going to be a fun, epic competition. We have Drew's Clues versus John's Pawns, and we'll have to see who takes it home this time, John. I mean, and if you want, guys, if you haven't listened, we released, a few days ago, our monthly Mayhem video. Podcast, only 15 minutes or so. That goes into all the
video
details.
That no more.
Yeah, no more videos now. I agree. Too much cake eating last time. But anyways, that's Clubhouse Games. The last thing I'll just briefly mention was I loaded back up What the Golf because I told you I would, right? Because I said I'm not letting it get the best of me. I wanted to try what they call the Impossible Challenge. I think that's what it's called. I can't guarantee you. And let me just tell you something. I was kind of like on edge. I'm like, I'm giving this game a second go. I'm going to put my past experience down, and I'm going to come into this fresh. It fucking sucked. It sucked more than the storyline did. So the impossible challenge was stupid. It wasn't impossible by any means. The name is so deceiving. All it does is you have unlimited deaths. And the whole point of it is you need to beat this impossible challenge in the fewest shots. And there's like a leaderboard. And it's challenging, but you die, you just restart. You die, you restart. You die, you restart. And then once you like beat a level, I thought it was just trying to like beat a long level. But once you beat a level, it just is another level and another level and another level. And it just kind of introduces the mechanics you learned in the story mode, but a lot more challenging.
Where's the impossible come from?
I don't know. It's my point. So one example is there's a play feature where you're a soccer ball, and the way the mechanic of the soccer ball works is you can reshoot it or re-hit it or re-kick it as many times as you want, and you can do it while it's still moving. So you could kick it one way and then kick it another way quickly.
Right.
But the obstacles in the soccer levels are these little kids that are soccer players, and all they try to do is they run at the ball and try to kick it off the stage. So like you have to try to keep kicking it around them. So in the impossible challenge, typical level would have like maybe, 4 to 6 kids spread out. The impossible challenge has like 30 little kids trying to kick your ball. It wasn't fun. It was fucking stupid.
I see. So they added some replayability to it, but nothing super engaging. But I'm proud of you for like getting back to it. And games like that are sometimes more fun after you've kind of finished it off.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Sounds like not. Yeah.
And the last thing I want to say is the wife and I, we did a thing. So
Ooh, really?
Well, no, but
we truly are after dark.
We have been quarantined for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. We've had the kids at home forever. So we asked my mother-in-law, I said, why don't you take the kids Saturday and like we're just gonna like relax, maybe go out to lunch, do nothing. We went out to lunch. We tried to go to Best Buy. They wouldn't let us in the store. I guess the stores are still closed.
I think it's appointment only, right? I think you have to make.
Yeah, you could pick stuff up. I just needed some like small things, but it wasn't open. So like, well, F this. Then we tried to go to another store, closed. But you know what? Let's just go home. So we got lunch. We went home. So I bought a game the other day, a board game, Villainous, and we decided to put on a movie. We watched that stupid movie. You ever see the trailers for it? Fantasy Island.
No, I haven't heard of that at all.
You ever the old show Fantasy Island?
Is it based on that?
It's based on that, but it's more of a thriller suspense movie.
Okay.
It was better than I expected. I expected it to be trash. It was better than I expected. Anyways, we said let's play the game Villainous, the new Disney board game. We bought one of the expansion pack. It has the Hades, Dr. Facilier, and the Evil Queen. And it's an awesome game, super cool, but it's complicated, John. It's very complicated. I'm not a big, huge board game guy, but it took us a long time to figure it out. We ended up watching like a 15-minute YouTube video that really helped explain it. So we kind of just like played like a trial game to like understand the rules and scenarios. Like we didn't actually play a game, but it was fun. It was nice quality time with the wife, and Villainous. I'm looking forward to trying it more out.
All right. Okay. You just cut it short there. I felt like you left another part of the story out, but I won't delve any deeper.
That's it. That's the whole story. I mean, I didn't really talk much about the game. I just talked more about my personal life and but
you know what's funny about the board games? Because I do a board game club with a friend of mine. There is a difference between like board games and then like the games that adults play, right? Like there, mm-hmm. I mean, we would go over to his house and pick out a game that we hadn't played before, and we'd spend like an hour and a half going through the rules, and like the manuals are like a book. Yeah, and then I kind of like, I'm not sure really like I like games with lots of rules, but we would play it one time and then that would it, and then we'd go on to another one. And it's like, well, we should play this game like 10 times, because we figured out the rules now. Now let's enjoy it when we're not like just laboring over the book, So yeah, that's interesting. It is crazy that games can be so complicated. You need a YouTube video, but it is nice that there's YouTube videos because they probably do a better job of explaining them than writing it down.
Correct. Yep. So what else? What have you been playing? Anything else you want to add, or?
Yeah, obviously I've been playing Clubhouse, played Xenoblade. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I put out the review for Xenoblade Chronicles today. That was one
great review, by the way, John. Well done.
Thanks. Yeah, I for some reason had this goal of getting the game on Friday and getting the review done Sunday, and it was just like, that's a impossibility. Like, I mean, like, how can I give a review of a 80-hour game after playing it for like 3 hours? So I was like, I'm just going to put up this review when I think I'm at a point where I can do it. But then I think I would have liked to have waited a week, but it just occurred to me like Friday, like, you know what? It's been a week. Now is a good time. It's not the perfect time, but it's still new, and I didn't want to wait 2 weeks. So, so I did put it out. It ended up at 13 minutes long, which is by far the longest review I've ever done. But I feel like the game sort of required it. So yeah, no, I'm pretty proud of the review, and I think overall I was pretty good with it. I mean, I certainly didn't say this is the greatest game of all time, and I'm not even sure I would recommend it, but for everybody, but I'm still having some fun with it, so I'm just continuing. I think the cool part is that I got to the part of the game when you meet Charla and her son, and then you have to go rescue her son, and it like around there is when I stopped playing, and now I've gotten so much further past that, and I love the fact that it's like
Charla. Which one's Charla?
Charla, the first woman that you Charla, right?
The bikini number chick?
No, well, there is the first who's the first girl? Faria, can't remember her name. I'm trying to do this without spoiling anything. But then you meet Charla and her son Juju, right? And then Juju gets kidnapped.
Yep. Oh yeah. Gotcha. Juju. Yeah,
So just being way past that, but then like, and I don't want to spoil anything, but like that couple of those other characters come back from the beginning, and I don't know, it was like, I was like, wow, I didn't know that. So I'm really excited to see all these. I got another character joining my party now, and it's kind of exciting. It's like, oh, okay, because as far as I knew in my head,
you have like the chick with the weird outfit, and you all in like, is that where you're at?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, so now I'm like, in my head, the game was like the 10-hour game that I played on the 3DS a few years ago. And now it's like, oh, look, there's all this happening and this happening. And I love the new graphics and everything. It's easy to play. It's just not the most engaging RPG I've ever played. And some of these bosses are just a bear. I'm fighting a boss right now that's just an absolute sponge. I had to grind a little bit, so I had to grind a couple levels, and I'm going to give them a shot.
What level are you?
I am level 34 now. So.
Okay, I think I'm 32.
Yeah, I mean, you should
probably
be
pretty close.
Yeah, to this boss that, like, it just, I don't know. I don't know. I'm tempted to put the game in easy mode. I don't know if it's a game that I feel like I need to beat on regular, but I'm just afraid if I go into easy mode, the game's going to be super easy and then get really boring. So I'm just going to stick with it.
I mean, we talking about this now? Let's talk about it.
Well, we can talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of things about this game, right? And not to mimic some of your reviews things, but I mean, it definitely shows its age, I think, right?
Yes.
For being originally a Wii game. So there's a few things about Xenoblade that I love because, like I said, I've played the other two games. I actually think I missed this one. I thought I originally started, but I doesn't really remember ring a bell a lot of it. So one thing to keep in mind for people out there that don't know anything about Xenoblade, a massive game. What I love about Xenoblade is the exploration of the world. And even though it's a Wii game, it still is amazing, I personally think, exploring the environment. So far, I've been through a few environments that really stuck out to me. Two of them in particular were the wasteland, where the wasteland / swamp area, when it turns nighttime, it all of a sudden turns to this Pandora / Avatar world where all the trees light up and then they're glowing, and it does a really amazing job. One weird thing, though, about that land was is when that happens, all the enemies turn from like level 25 to like 80.
Yes. I remember you mentioning that before I got there, and that's exactly what happens. They literally disappear.
Yeah, so I was in the middle of a quest killing some birds, and all of a sudden nighttime came, and the bird legit turned to level 80, and I got destroyed. So there was a few times I had to go switch to daytime, which you can do, right? So as soon as I hit nighttime, I love the environment, but I had to switch to daytime because I couldn't complete my quest.
It almost feels kind of like cheating a little bit. There's no penalty to it. Remember on The Witcher when you could meditate and advance time, but like you had to use alcohols and you couldn't do it every time. Like here, it's just like, oh, it's nighttime. I don't want it to be nighttime. I want it to be daytime. And it's like, okay.
But there's a lot of cool parts of the game that like kind of mini hidden dungeons, right? So there was one in that area that you could go into. So it was like this ruin that had like a little mini boss, but it had like 10 enemies lined up next to him. I couldn't end up not being able to defeat him. But anyways, the other really cool world or land was, what do you call the little guys there? The Neopons or whatever they're called?
The Nopons.
Nopons. Right. So the Nopon is this little circular, fat, chubby, animal-like creature that talks. They're friendly, but they live in these massive trees that have like all these rope bridges from tree to tree, and it's almost like you're kind of like the Ewoks, but they have like a massive scale. I thought that was a really cool world to explore as well. So, I mean, then you don't know about these bridges over cliffs that are like massive bridges. Like it takes you 60 seconds to run across the bridge.
Yeah, I know. And I look, I mean, like I love a big world to explore, and I loved Xenoblade 2. There was like, you go around, the towns really investigate. You could find some people that have a quest for you. You'd have to go to a certain area, try to find something and whatever, go back to them, and like there was always a story behind the quest. It wasn't like just, whatever. The thing that bugs me about Xenoblade is all the side quests, just like you see these little exclamation points in the map, you just run to it, you talk to the person, they say something uninteresting. And it's either like, go kill some enemies or go find this thing. And there's just like, all this stuff is just glowing orbs, somewhere. In Xenoblade 2, if they said, go find me some cake, you'd go to the shop and you might find the cake there, or it just wasn't. I don't like the way it's done.
This game definitely is lackluster in that sense. It becomes mindless, and I'm going to tell you something, John. Laugh if you want. I think I've fallen asleep twice playing this game.
I have too.
It's that to the point where some of the cutscenes are just And I'm going to be honest, the story for this game is super lackluster. I mean, like I said, I'm 18 hours in. Maybe something opens up soon. I don't know. But it's super lackluster. The characters are like super boring. I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 had some of the most amazing, memorable characters of any video game I've ever played.
Yes.
I know Shulk is like this big name and character that, people talk about.
I wouldn't say a big name, but
no, but I mean, he sucks. I have no emotional attachment with him at all. Zero.
When he doesn't have a personality quirk or something, like he's just like this kid who's smart, and I maybe there's something to discover down the road. I don't want to talk too much, but I know exactly what you mean. When I remember, and put it this way, if this game was Xenoblade 3, it would probably get trashed in reviews, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But we know this is Xenoblade 1, and Xenoblade 2 came out 2017. So that's like 5 years later, and Xenoblade X came out in the middle. So this is like a remake, and so I think when you play it, it's like, this is not Xenoblade 2, this is Xenoblade 1. But yeah, like I remember in Xenoblade 2 during cutscenes, the voice acting had this thing, and you can tell it was in the programming where you had to wait for someone to finish saying something before the next person said something. So there was no overlapping dialogue. And so some of the conversations got really weird because they're like, oh no. And then it's like, what? It's all like just very weird. And this game has it as well. The characters don't interact. They don't fight. They don't touch each other. They just stand there and they talk to each other back and forth. It's as simple as you can do it. The graphics are much nicer. And I like this story, even if I couldn't tell you everything about it. I like the story. I really like that they live on these two titans, and that you are really like crawling up the titan, right? You start off in the foot, and then you're like the leg. So like mentally, you kind of know your progress. You're like, oh, like I'm getting close to the head of the titan, you know? And it's like, ooh, I can't wait to get to the head of the titan. I want to see, like, you know, can we go over to the other titan? And I want to see what's there. And like I said, I played this game a little bit a few years ago, and I'm really excited to see all of the game that I haven't seen. But yeah, like it's so straightforward, and like I said, I will grab side quests. Like when I got to the No Pond town.
Oh, you grab everyone you can. Yeah.
I just ran around. I talked to every single person, because I'm going to fight some enemy that's pretty nearby. And I don't want to go fight these enemies and then do the side quests, because then I have to go fight them again. It's just like a little bland.
But here's my problem. You actually nailed this in your review. 80% of these side quests just give you gold.
Yes.
They don't even give you experience. Like, how lame is that?
Yeah. I mean, and you need the gold to buy better weapons. But yeah, like getting experience. I had one quest that I did today that gave me experience. And I was like, oh, it was like so exciting. Yeah. I was like, ooh, like really helpful. But yeah. And then, you know, like the characters that have like 3 side quests, and then you talk to them and you go to run away and you turn around and you're like, wait, they have an exclamation point over their head. Didn't I just talk to them?
And I don't
then they
even
give
read
you a
the side
second
quests.
quest. Oh yeah, I don't read them either.
No.
But then they give you a second one, and then a third one. It's like, that doesn't happen. Like that's not even it's not even natural. It's like maybe if you finished one, then they give you another one. And I think there was a character that did that.
But you know what it is, but they made it so you don't have to return to that character.
Yes.
So they almost like they give you all the quest storylines up front. The side quest story. But let's talk about a little bit the battle system, because it is a very unique battle system, and I want to understand what your take is. So for those that don't know how it works, let me try to explain it quickly. But think of a automated hack and slash that you see in a lot of like MMO type style games, and you have your skill sets on the bottom. In this case, they call them arts, and they become intensified, I guess you could say, when they're available, right? So every art has a cooldown, and every art typically has some type of effect, right? I guess you want to call it like right. A topple, which is you knock the character down, break, which you can interrupt. So the typical effects like that, and you just are constantly not even looking at the screen. All you're worrying about is your skill set. Yeah. And you just look at these arts on the bottom, and whatever one isn't, has completed its cooldown, unintensifies, you're going to use. This is what else gets tricky, because you're using your Joy-Cons to move around, change the camera view, and then you have to switch to your D-pad, because your D-pad is what moves your arts left or right, and then you hit the A button to kind of use it. The only thing that's nice is there's a little bit of strategy on where you attack your enemy. So you are moving the Joy-Con and moving your position of your character to maybe the back of the enemy. And when you do that, your art is going to have a little exclamation point that says, look, you're in a place where if you use this art, you're going to do, more damage, because this art says if you attack from behind, it's like a critical hit. So I like that it tells you those things, but you get into the sense that I'm not even watching the game. I'm just looking at my skill set to see which skill pops up.
Right. And funny story. When I was doing the review, I had to if I'm talking about some part of the battle system, I'm looking in the video where I use that part of the battle system, and I'm like watching myself do it, and I'm paying a lot of attention to my actions on the screen. And it occurs to me, none of this looks familiar, because I wasn't watching it when I was playing it. I was watching it in the review. So I was like, oh, I didn't realize that was going on the screen, because your focus is not there at all.
It's really not, which is odd, right? Because you want to look at this graphical monster you're fighting. There's times you look up and I'm like, change the camera. I'm like, oh, I've been fighting these birds for the last 3 hours. Right. That's what they look like. You zoom in their face, like an owl. It's not even a bird, it's an owl. So it's interesting. I mean, I guess it's a little bit rewarding. My biggest problem I have too is, and I guess it's no different than all RPGs or JRPGs, but it's almost like every battle I feel like is a boss battle. So you get to the point where you almost are avoiding enemies, and you do that a lot in those turn-based type games, right? Because it's like at a certain point you want to level up, but you also want to just maybe move out of the area, and move on to the next area or the next quest. So you gotta find that happy balance of like, you need to fight some monsters because you need the experience, because you don't want to move on to the next area, it's too low of a level. But it's also like it takes, sometimes 5 or 4 minutes to go kill because there's 3 monsters over there.
Yeah, and you don't get like a tremendous amount of level up either. It doesn't feel gratifying. So I totally agree. I know like Xenoblade does train you to skip monsters all the time because there's these, like you said, level 80 monsters that are just hanging around. So you don't feel like when you're playing a game and you skip that first monster and you feel kind of guilty about it, But yeah, it's definitely a lot of like managing, because every enemy is very powerful. Like if they're the same level as you, you're going to get in a pretty extended fight. It's going to be a pretty knockout drag out.
Yeah, there are many boss battles.
Yeah, and I think Xenoblade is different things to different people. Like, if you've ever gone online, like, I had problems with a boss, and I wanted to get some clues online, like how to defeat the boss, and people are talking about, give Ryan needs to have aggro, and then you got to do this, and you got to drop this on them, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, really? Because I just kind of go back and forth and choose all the different weapons. But, like, to me, Xenoblade, the kind of cycle I've gotten into is... now that I'm kind of into the game, not necessarily at the beginning, but I get to like Nopon Village, right? Yep. And then I have to go to the next place. So I kind of like run past all the enemies just to get to the next flag and then see what's there. And then maybe pick up some side quests and then go back and grind on what I just ran past.
Agreed.
And then kind of do that little cycle. And I don't mind sitting there and grinding. Like, I love grinding in RPGs, but it just doesn't feel very satisfying. The fights take a little while, and they don't give you much leveling. But, it's okay. I can just sit there and grind and beat the same enemies over and over again. It's just not a really deep RPG.
I find I'll go do all those exploring and side quests on an area that I find entertaining and I want to explore. For example, I use those 2 areas. I used the wasteland, and I used those trees and the treehouse and the bridges. Like, those 2 lands or portions of the world were interesting to me. So I chose those 2 to do a lot of side questing, whereas some of the other areas I got to, I didn't really explore as much. So it was just kind of boring,
Yeah. Yep.
So I look at it from that point of view as well. But I mean, overall, I love Xenoblade, the idea. I love I love the world to explore, the whole Titans and all of that. Because even Xenoblade Chronicles 2 kind of had that concept.
Yes.
So I love Xenoblade Chronicles as a whole, but this is definitely shows its age, and by far my least favorite. It doesn't mean I don't love it. It's just my least favorite of the 3.
Do you love it?
It's hard to say. Not right now.
Yeah, I think I've seen as far as we're gonna go with like battle system and the way the game goes, the side questing and whatever. I think the story is the thing I'm really hanging my hat on. I'm really hoping that this story really hits me, especially, by the end. And I think it can, because this game is regarded in high esteem for a reason. So I think there's some good story that's going to come. No spoilers, everybody. But I think in terms of battling and stuff, I mean, Xenoblade 2 is far superior. I never played X, and in fact, you remind me that I have an error in my video because I mentioned the 3rd game in the series, but there already is a 3rd game in the series. I always forget about X.
Yeah, X was interesting. It's similar. It was good. I enjoyed X.
I think 1 and 2 connect a little bit more. Not that they connect directly.
Yeah.
But I think they connect a little bit more, which is, probably why it's 2 and not X. But yeah, Xenoblade 2 is so much fun. And the side quests weren't perfect there either. But the story and the characters, I just really loved so much more. But yeah, I'm gonna finish it. I'm not stopping Xenoblade again. I've started and stopped it twice. I started and stopped Xenoblade 2 once before I finished it, so I'm done with all that.
But I do like the idea, and I honestly am heavily considering it because I do want to finish the game, of switching over to the easy mode. And I think all that does is reduces the health of the monsters. So whereas that 4-minute battle might now take a 2-minute battle.
Yeah.
Because the game is fair where I bet you if I load up and play for 2 hours, I probably die 3 times. You think that's fair? So it's definitely challenging that part, but I typically die when it's like I'm fighting something and I accidentally aggro another monster or a high level monster. And so it's not typically I start a battle and just die. That doesn't happen that often. It's usually a mistake, or I run into an area and I'm trying to run through it and then I like the idea of the easy mode just so I can experience the game, but it reduces that. I think that it might reduce 10 hours in the long haul,
Yeah, I feel like it would reduce the satisfaction of the game. So I'm a little. It definitely is easy to say. I want to experience the story, and I'm getting a little tired of the battle. But I once I do that, man, I think I'm going to be even more bored. So I'm just going to have to try to get through. There's going to be a lot of grinding involved, probably. But honestly, I had some worries about XCOM, just like frame rate and stuff like that. The stuff that they were showing on the screen didn't match what the gameplay looked like. And I've heard that there's definitely some frame rate issues and resolution issues and stuff on XCOM. So I'm feeling a little hesitant to play that on Switch. And then, I'm not going to play BioShock, Borderlands. So right now, there's nothing. I don't want to play Outer Worlds on the Switch. So right now there's nothing much else to play. So I'm just going to kind of sit around with Xenoblade and kind of dork with that some more.
What else? Anything else, or should we move on?
No, but I did want to say I'm going to become an Xbox One owner, surprisingly.
Oh, John.
I didn't see it coming. I kind of saw it coming. I didn't think it would happen. I actually have a Switch and a PS4. I played my PS4 a little more. When I had the Wii U, we started playing more PS4 games. But ever since the Switch came out, I play like 2 games a year on the PS4. Like I played the Tomb Raiders, Last Guardian, although I think that might have been a few years ago, and The Witcher. So really that's it. So Cyberpunk 2077 was a game that everyone was super excited about. And I remember thinking, I don't really care much for it. And then, you and I played The Witcher 3, and that's the same development team. So I love The Witcher 3, and now I'm super excited for Cyberpunk 2077. I'm let's go, So they are putting out this limited edition Cyberpunk 2077 Xbox X. And I don't know if you've seen it. I think I did.
It to you. Yeah, I think I saw your picture you sent me. Yep.
It is hot as fuck.
Is that the only reason you're buying it?
So I said to myself, I think 2 months ago when they announced it, I said, I'm going to try to get this limited edition. I probably won't be able to, but I'm going to try to get it because it is so hot and the game is going to be such a big release.
What game?
What's that?
What game?
Cyberpunk 2077. This is CD Projekt Red. This is the next game after Witcher 3 now. So they made Witcher 3, they did the DLC, and now they're doing this. And I didn't think I'd be able to get it. But I said, you know what? I'm going to try to get it. And then if I get it, I always have the option to sell it. I'm sure it'll sell for more than it's worth. And I was like, I'll just try to get it, and I'll figure it out later. And so, I was sitting there. It was Friday. I'm sitting there working, and I see a tweet come by, and it's like, oh, Cyberpunk 2077 Xbox X now available on Best Buy. And I was like, oh. And I run, and I managed to purchase it. It is just so hot. The console, it's hard to describe. It's not just a colored Xbox. It's just the whole thing is just themed so well. Even the controller has what looks like scratches in it.
Yeah, it's sexy. I'll give you that.
It is sexy. The box is sexy, and it comes with the game. The game doesn't come out till September, And it costs $300. So really, it's an Xbox X for $240. And the thing is going to keep its value like crazy. This thing is going to be, I can sell this thing 2 years from now and I'll probably make money on it.
So are you going to play the game?
I'm going to open it. I am, my plan right now, and it's probably my plan forever, because I have a Switch. Switch is my baby. But I have my Switch set up on a TV in my office, which is fairly new. I've always been a handheld only guy. But I have a dock now in my office, and I am going to hook up my Xbox X in here. And I'm going to get the game in September. It comes with it. But I am going to get Game Pass for $10 a month. I'm not going to buy. I'm not going to buy any games for this thing.
I feel like you're having an affair.
It feels a little dirty, but let me sell you on it. I'm never going to have a physical game for this system. I'm only going to have one game I own. And Game Pass has Hellblade on it, which is a game I played on the Switch. And it was like graphically inferior, and I really enjoyed it, and I really want to play a better graphic version of it. So I can play that for free. It has Outer Worlds on it, so I can play Outer Worlds at the graphical fidelity, that I'd like to.
John,
and so basically I get that for free. Red Dead Redemption 2, I might give that a go. That's on Game Pass. And there's a bunch of other games. Bloodstained. Remember, that was a game that I said I would like to play on my PS4.
You're having an affair.
Cheating? I am cheating.
You're cheating. You're trying to tell yourself, like, well, she has big tits. She has a nice ass. I'll only do it like once a month. It's not bad because it has some high quality stuff, and I'm only gonna do it sometimes when I'm away from my family, when I'm away from my Switch. John, cheating is cheating, and you are now a cheater.
I think The Witcher 3 is on Game Pass too.
Oh, John, let's move on. I don't want to talk about cheating anymore. It's depressing me.
Switch, I love you, Switch. You'll always be my baby.
Well, that's not true. Moved on for bitter tits. That's what I did.
I have two side pieces now. You know what's actually funny is my PS4 will actually suffer the most because I don't think I'll play my PS4 again. So that's going to be the one that suffers, not the Switch. So that's going to be interesting. Maybe I'll sell my PS4.
PS4 is going to be moving on out.
Might be moving on out.
So your son's going to take it over.
I might end up throwing it in a box. Honestly, if it wasn't for the Tomb Raider games on there, I don't know. Well, maybe the Tomb Raider will be on Game Pass.
Well, I mean, then you'll hold on to that just in case there's ever a Tomb Raider game or anything else new coming out with Tomb Raider.
I love the Tomb Raider games. They're so good. Okay.
All right. I think we gotta. I mean, we've had some great convo, but we haven't even got to our main topic yet. So let's. Replayability. So what makes a game replayable that makes you want to come back for more, post credits, before credits, all of that? We're going to get into that in a second. But John, why don't you give us a little bit of a definition of what a replayable game is?
Yeah, when we came up with this topic, it was like very important that we talk about strictly what it is, because I think a lot of people have different definitions. So here's the definition. I pulled it off the internet. Change it a little bit. Here's the definition we're going by. Replayability is a video game's potential for continued play value after its first completion, including unlocking extra characters or items, unlocking achievements, finding secrets or discovering alternate endings, or playing it all over from the beginning.
Who would do that, John?
And I think there's people that do everything, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to kind of put together just a little list of what I think are things that make games replayable. Besides all these things up here, right? Yeah, finding secrets, great. But that doesn't mean that the game is replayable if it sucks, right? So here's what I captured, and I'd love to know what you think of this list of things that make games replayable. So for the first one, it has to be fun, right? You're not going to continue playing a game or play it all over again unless it's fun. It's got to be fun. I think it has to be able to capture all those little extras really well. It has to have, like, maybe you see a screen that has like 20 characters and 10 of them are unlocked and the other ones are shadowed out, where you want to fill in that box and get that completion stuff. So it needs to do that well. The achievements for the game can't be impossible. I don't know if we've talked about this before, but if you see an achievement that's like, whoa, I'm never doing that. I'm never playing, play Xenoblade Chronicles all the way through without dying. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. So then you don't want to do anything else, right? That makes the game less replayable because you'll never 100% the thing. You want the extra things in the game, the characters, the extra items, to not just be like, you found this, but also be like, oh, you found this character. Now you can play as this character, right? Or you found this really cool gun. Now you can use this gun. I think that helps it a lot. This one's interesting. Unofficial challenges. So these are things that are not in the game. So, for example, I think the best example is the Nuzlocke challenge on Pokemon, right? Where you play the game and there's these strict set of rules and there's different like kinds of rules. There's more than one Nuzlocke challenge. But like I know a lot of them are like, you can only find one Pokemon in each area and that's it. If you find another one, you have to drop it, like that sort of thing. So playing with unofficial rules that people challenge you to. And a lot of times in Metroidvanias, a map which helps you to identify where you've been. So like if you're trying to find every little nook and cranny in a Metroidvania, it's really helpful to know which areas you're missing. The room map is not complete and you go, oh, I need to go there and check that out. If you don't get a map at all, you could just sit there running in circles for days. So it's not very exciting. Levels that are short enough to replay. If you're trying to get like 3 stars in a level, it helps that level is fairly short. And then alternate stories. So just that's kind of like different endings or whatever. But sometimes if you play a game a second time, I have some examples of this. The game changes up. So I think this is like a nice list of, and I'm sure there's more. And if anybody knows any more, they want to like shout out us, and just go right to our channel on the Discord.
So I'll add a couple. So some off the top of my head, right? So I think a replayability factor is definitely the length of a game, right? I think there's a lot of people listening, and probably yourself too. And I know for myself, I probably play through Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3 every 2 years, or maybe even every year, because they're short, right? You can beat Super Mario World 1 in like 10 minutes. So it's a fun game. And I think the replayability of it is that it's short, right? I don't have to go invest multiple days or multiple sit downs. I should just say, you know what? I want to play Super Mario, and I'm just going to sit here and play it till I beat it.
Right.
So for me, that is a replayability. One of the more recent ongoing games, which I want to kind of talk about briefly, is because what would you consider something like Fortnite? I personally was very, I don't want to even say I was obsessed, because I probably put only like 120 hours in, but I loved Paladins. I was a big fan of Paladins. And it's not necessarily even these battle passes or anything, which is a replayability factor if you think about it, right? Because every, I don't know, month or every couple months they reset, and now it's you're going back in to replay it more. I know it's kind of new content, but it's also just that I want to make, like you said, my character look different or look cool, or simply just the fun of it, right? And I think that leads into my other point, where online or even couch op type game sessions, right? So replayability, for a perfect example, would be Mario Kart, right? Look at Mario Kart, and I still boot up Mario Kart to play with my kids. Mario Party, same type of thing. I know you guys are big fans of what the hell's the name of it? The cooking Overcooked. Yeah. So stuff like that as well, where you start talking about playing with others, whether it's online or in your own house. But so for me, I think that brings the big replayability factor, because it's no secret the way I game, John. I am a strict. I play almost one game at a time, and I kind of play through. I complete it, and then I don't really ever go back to it anymore. That's just how I always have been, because I want to play the next game, right? So I don't want to. I mean,
I feel like when you like an example like Paladins and Mario Kart. I think the replayability there is the fun, right? You're playing it over and over and over because you have fun playing it.
That's true.
But those games don't have real endings either. At least I'm not sure about Paladins, but like Mario Kart doesn't have an ending.
Neither of them do.
Right.
So I think that's what makes a game replayable. I mean, Mario Party, I guess you technically could roll credits, but
yes, it does have a campaign, but it's a board game, right? It's like it's there to be played over and over, whereas. I think it's playing a game to the credits is almost like playing it to, and the game is not dictating that like now you're done, but like it's really kind of like playing to when the game says I'm done because it's showing me the credits. But there's so many games that have entire worlds. Like think of all the Super Mario 3D World was like that. You roll credits and then there's other worlds, like let alone levels, like whole worlds. So at what point are you not done with that game? And maybe we're talking about completionism a little bit too much.
Well, we are. I mean, you look back at like that's a good example. That was the Dragon Quest 11, right? I mean, I beat the game, but you and Jesse went on to spend another 50 hours after I beat it.
Right, because I don't think that game ends at the credits. That game ends way later. If you stop at the credits, you miss like massive parts of the story. And I feel like that game was so long they wanted to get their credit roll in. Mm-hmm. But like it's kind of like an injustice to stop there. But like usually with games like that, I stop at the credits. I might go back and maybe dabble with some side quests, but then I usually get bored. But like that was one where it was like, the story where they gripped you immediately right away.
With replayability, right? You could look at a game like Celeste or any type of even Overcooked, where you have games that you get a grade or you get stars for completing a level, right? Mm-hmm. So you could look at it as I 1 star every level and I beat the game.
Yep. It
comes down to, and I know we're repeating ourselves here, but it comes down to what benefit do I get by going back and replaying? Is it the fun and enjoyment, or is it just I completed it if I did all 3 stars? So what is my motivation, I guess you could say, right?
So I have a good example of this, and I can't recall if I did it, but that game, The Stretchers, right? It was the Nintendo published game. It came out a few months ago. I played that game with my kids, and I thought it would be better than it was. And I remember playing it going, God, it's kind of boring. Like it was boring. I really wasn't enjoying it. And then we got to the end of the game, and I was like, oh, God, we got it. Rolled credits, done, right? But, like, I started looking at it, and the way they did their achievement system, it was like a book. So in the game, the mayor gives you a book. And you open up the book, and there's all these things, and it's like, oh, there's 20 street signs and 20 bulletin boards and 50 of this and all that. And then you realize these are your achievements. And suddenly, as soon as I beat that game, that's when I felt like it got better, because then I wanted to try to finish this book. And I was like playing that game. I remember trying to force my kids to like play with me. Mm-hmm. Oh, Sebastian doesn't want to play with me. Melody, play with me, Yep. And then eventually I figured out that you could play with 2 Joy-Cons. There was a control set for 1 player where you controlled both of the people in the game because there's 2 characters. Mm-hmm. And man, I just got so addicted to that game for like 4 or 5 days trying to get every little thing. And I can tell you, I don't think there was any reward for doing everything. Mm-hmm. But I just wanted to find all the hats. I just wanted to do everything in the book for no reason. I mean, literally, once I finished it, it was going to be like, okay, you're done. Yeah. But I just did. So, like, even in that case, a lot of these things that make a game replayable, in that case, it was just that they just very clearly articulated what it was left in the game. And I was just so curious to drive around. That the credits don't stop you if you're having so much fun, right? I mean, like,
no, I
think if it's a story and you get credits and you're like, oh, the story's over, now everything else is just some nonsensical side quest or finding a secret, I can see how that might not be interesting. But there's so many games where, like you mentioned Celeste too, right? Like
Yep.
you get to the end, the story is over, right? That the story's done. But all those strawberries you missed, right? Like they eat at me. Like I try to go to sleep at night and the strawberries are like, hey, there's a little strawberry in the top corner of that screen that you couldn't get. You weren't good enough. And you're like, no, I'm going to get you, strawberry.
So see, and I'm going to leave with this final thought because my feeling is...
Final thought? I've got 1,000 more thoughts.
Well, my final thought. Those just don't matter to me as replayability. I consider a replayable game, like I said, something that's going to give you a brand new experience or interaction with other people for every times you need, right? So whether it is Mario Party, whether it is Mario Kart, whether it is a Paladins or Fortnite, those are going to be unique experiences every time you play the game. Now, you might be playing the same mini games. You might be going to hide in the same, house that you always go to in Fortnite. You might be racing your favorite tracks, but it's a new experience with new laughs, different places you're going to finish in. And that, to me, is what will always make a game replayable. Story-driven games, in my eyes, are not a replayable game.
Yeah. And that's what makes me not like those games, because I feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over with no progression. But I do play. I still play Mario Kart to this day. I get it. But like a game like Fire Emblem, Three Houses, right? Like they set that one up so that you can choose between 3 different schools.
But I don't think that's a replayability factor. I think that's just an extended storyline.
No,
right?
it's not. It's you get 3 different schools. They have 3 different sets of characters. They all have their own unique abilities. And so, like the first time I played through with the Black Eagles.
How long does it take to do one playthrough?
Oh, a playthrough can be pretty long. I think my first playthrough was like 45 hours or so, or 40. But I think successive playthroughs, even though you don't have any, you do have some continuing stats. But I think what it is like when I played that the second time, so I did Black Eagles first and then I did the Blue Lions second. I spent less time in the school and kind of rush through some of that stuff a little bit more.
So in my eyes, that game is it's a 100-hour game, and it's breaking it up into 3 mini versions with some overlapping content. That's all it's doing. That's not a replayable game in my eyes.
I think that's a misnomer. I think you can play through with the school. You play through with the school you prefer, right? Like you might not want to play. It's like picking your character in a game. If you played Skyrim, you wouldn't say playing through it with one character and then having to play through with like a magic character is required, right? The thing about Fire Emblem is you have different characters and the story does change. Every school has a unique story, mostly in the second half of the game when you hit the flip in the middle. And then, DLC is a whole other thing, but you can play that game through 3 times and experience a different story from different perspectives. It's not the same story either. You're not overlapping the story. The story's kind of different. But like that's a game where, I've played it through twice and I still have a 3rd school that I haven't played with and I'm going to play it again. So, I mean, that's the replayability of it. There's some people that played it one time.
Is it replayability if it's just different content?
But it's replayability because a lot of the content is the same. Like, especially in the beginning, you're playing the same battles. You're just, instead of this school doing this battle, this school does this battle.
That's even more of a scam.
It does get a little redundant. Like, the 3rd time through, it'll be like, oh, I'm playing this fight again. But I don't think you want to play them back to back to back. I took a few months off. I came back to it, loved my second playthrough. And then I'm going to play this one, down the road, maybe in fall. So it won't be so, redundant. But that game had great. I'll tell you, the game that has great replayability, because I've been playing it in the last 2 weeks, is Into the Breach, which last episode I said is now my favorite game of all time. But the thing that makes the game so replayable, because it's a roguelike, you pick an army.
Roguelike's an interesting topic, right, for replayability.
Right, and I don't think they all have replayability. I can name you some games that I'm not. I wouldn't want to play through, but this game, you have a 3 mech team and you play through it and then you roll credits once, right? I actually rolled credits fairly quickly. I remember when I played. And okay, you've rolled credits. So are you done playing Into the Breach? Well, there's all these other mech teams that have completely different skill sets, totally different. Mm-hmm. You're like, well, I want to try it with this weird team. I had a team that like didn't do any direct attacks. It just shoved robots around, And then they have achievements and they outline them so well. And one of the best parts about Into the Breach is when you do an achievement, it doesn't just like light it up and say you did it. It gives you a gold coin, and that gold coin becomes currency for unlocking other mech teams. And I'm at a point in the game now where I have done every achievement in the game. I mean, like, it's taken a while. I've did every achievement in the game. I've unlocked all the teams, but there is this one extra team that I think it's called like the secret team, and you need 25 more coins to unlock it, and I'm at like 8. So even though I've played through, I've rolled credits a dozen times, I'm still playing it because I want to unlock that secret team. That's it. And then there's 3 achievements for each team. There's just so much to do, and the game is just so much fun to play.
Okay, so you only have 55 hours into it. That's not bad. I was expecting a lot more.
I was expecting a lot more too. I'm going to probably get to 75 at some point because I just keep getting back to it. Mm-hmm. But like Binding of Isaac, like there's people that love, don't get me wrong, there's people that love Binding of Isaac and play it over and over and over again. The day I roll credits on that game, which will probably never happen, mm-hmm. I'm not playing it again because now you're saying that you are running through the game again with the randomness, right? There's going to be some different weapons and different this and that. And for some reason, for some people that's fun, but like to me, that's not fun to me. I wouldn't play that game through again, but a game like Into the Breach, I will play over and over and over because you have these very specific mech teams that you need to do and these achievements you're trying to hit.
But let me ask you this: regardless of what mech team you are, are the battles and the story and the maps all the same in the same order?
The maps and the objectives are all totally random, right?
But they're themed. Like Enter the Dungeon, right? I mean, you still have a themed floor. You have a themed number, or no?
Yeah, I mean, the levels, there's certain patterns to the levels. Like, oh, this is a level that has more water, and you got to destroy the dam and stuff like that. But the mech teams fight so incredibly differently. Sometimes some of the teams are all about firepower. Some of them are about pushing. Some of them need to line up the enemies more. There's just like, they're so different. It's like they literally, like, it could almost be like a sequel to the game because you play it so differently. And that's what I find replayable about it, is that it's just so different. But then, Sayonara Wild Hearts is a game where it's the same songs. Nothing's different at all. And it's just playing through and trying to get some of the more difficult achievements. And because the game's so much fun, I'm willing to do it. But
I don't think that's
not going to unlock
replayable factor.
It's replayable because it's so much fun and you want to unlock everything, but I will get nothing from it. Like if I get the gold, the last thing I need to do is get gold on you only get 1 life. You have to basically run through the entire game without dying, right? Mm-hmm. And that's just annoying. That's kind of an impossible achievement. And I don't know if I'll ever do that.
I think that we have pretty different opinions on this replayability factor, right? Where
I don't think we disagree on what's replayable. I think we disagree on what compels us to replay a game. Like
I agree. I think we each have our own opinions, and I think we could have guessed this before we've been doing this episode on the games we play and the time we spend on games. I agree, but I'd be curious to see what other people are. So maybe to put up a Twitter poll tomorrow and say, and try to word it some way. And I hate to say Drew and John, because if you have to listen to the episode to understand the question, but definitely in a sense where, what does replayability mean to you? Is it?
No, I want to know what games people replay. Like, what's the game that you just keep coming back to? I think because I think no matter what you,
but you have a lot of like story-driven games that you play and then you beat. Like those are the type of, I mean, even Fire Emblem, Into the Breach, those are all games that you start at point A and you get to point Z and the game's over.
Right. Well,
my
yes and no.
vision is not that.
Yeah. No,
Mario Kart,
I got
Paladins, Mario Party, Clubhouse games. Those are all games in my eyes of replayability that you can't beat from A to Z. I get you have different ways to play them, but to me, it's still that's not a replayable game in my eyes.
I'm shocked you're still playing Mario Party. I mean, like,
not really that much.
Yeah.
But if my daughter asks me to play all the time, and I usually just say no to an asshole.
Let's do the raft.
Yeah, that's what she wants to freaking do.
I got a question for you, Drew.
She begged me today, Daddy, can we play Mario Kart? I'm just like, no. I feel I'm a terrible father.
Bad.
I feel bad, but it's like I'd rather I was like, let's play Clubhouse games, let's do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I got a couple games for you that I just wanted to talk about before we moved on.
Yeah.
Are they replayable to you? And I think the big one here is Breath of the Wild. I know people on NVC that have like, I'm doing my 4th playthrough of Breath of the Wild. And as much as I want to be like, yes, that game is one of my favorite games ever and all that stuff, I have never replayed that game. I finished it in whenever the DLC finished that first year. Mm-hmm. I've never started again. I don't see how you can start again, even in hard mode. So is that a game that you have replayed or would ever replay?
No, I would never replay that game, period. So what I said, I went back to earlier, one of my replayability factors is time.
Yeah.
So how long does it take to replay that type of game?
If you include the DLC, it's going to be a lot.
Yeah, so I don't ever see a point. Don't get me wrong. Love the game. It's phenomenal. Top game, top 10, sure.
Right.
But I don't ever need to replay that. It's too long of a game. I mean, you look at games everyone's talking about right now, like Mario Sunshine and Mario 64 and all these other Mario games that are remade, and you're like, are you going to replay it? Right? That's the key word tonight, replay. And it's like, maybe, some of those games you can beat in like maybe 20 hours. So maybe if there's nothing else to play, but if I'm going to spend 25 hours on a game, would I rather play a game that I've never played before? Because what is that replayability factor for those old Mario games? They're great games. They're fun games. I've played them. I've beat them. I could
replay a Mario Sunshine because I've forgotten so much of that game.
See,
a lot of it was still new.
I played that a few years ago. I busted out the GameCube and played through the entire game, and I beat it. Loved it.
Would you play Breath of the Wild like 20 years from now? Like if you're an older guy, you find this box in the basement, you open it up, oh, it's the Switch, and you see Breath of the Wild, and your kids are mid-20s, like would you play? Like would you say nope, I've beat this game 20 years ago, or would you be like, you know what, I'm gonna play that again?
I think it was good while it lasted.
Wow.
It's just those games. I mean, you got to think 120 hour game is for an average person, right? I mean, if you're playing only 1 or 2 hours a day, and that's a lot for people, right? 1 or 2 hours a day is a lot of people, a lot of time. That's like a 4-month game. If you played it an hour or two every day.
Yeah. So
for 4 months, if I only have an hour or two a day to play, and am I going to spend the next 4 months playing no other video games? That's a third of a year.
I know, but it's a special game. That's the thing. It's special.
It was special.
Yeah.
It's still special.
It's still special.
It's special in a part it needs to be, but
I'll tell you, part of me wants to replay the game again. I think, I should just do hard mode. Let me take on the challenge of hard mode, but I think hard mode changes the game so much that I don't think I would enjoy it.
I'm going to say it because I love Breath of the Wild, but I'm going to say it. Breath of the Wild was an amazing game. It was lackluster in a few spots. The shrines were okay. The whatever you call the dungeons or what were the elephant and all those things.
Oh, right. Yep.
Those I almost dreaded going to them. But they weren't enjoyable to me.
I don't want to turn this into a Breath of the Wild review show, but let me just throw the second game at you real quick. Skyrim. You played Skyrim, right?
I did. I didn't complete it because I just couldn't get through it. It was
okay.
It was dated. It was dated.
Okay, so I played through Skyrim once. I was not like blown away by it, and then pretty soon after, I actually played it again. I wanted to experience it. I picked a different character and whatever. And I know a lot of people that play through Skyrim over and over and over and over again, right? And then there's some people that play 500 hours of it on one character, right? But like that's a game where I don't understand replaying because you have to play through this main quest and you can ignore the main quest in the game, but there's still a whole bunch of things you need to do that are just required to do. Just like The Witcher. Like if you try to replay The Witcher, you have this main quest that you just have to do. And that's the stuff that kind of kills me with that. Sort of like, I want to replay Skyrim again and just try to do something totally different. But man, you're going to get the same little things in the beginning, the same opening sequence, blah, 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 blah. You know, and the same thing with Breath of the Wild, too. So
the other problem with those games are, too, is you start looking at it like, you know, sometimes like, oh, I have to go do this or that to get this really good weapon. But you're like, do I want to do that again? Or do I want to try a new road or a different path and get different weapons? So it's like you want to go with your familiarity, but you also want to deviate to try a new experience, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
It's a tricky balance for those type of games.
I think it's definitely unique for everybody. Some games will, you know, deserve more replayability than others. I think it's interesting to see what kinds of games people find replayable, and then like you, some people hit the credits and they just move on. I
agree. It's definitely an interesting topic. So why don't we try to put maybe 2 questions out there for everyone? You know, one, just let us hear what your games are, and then let's see if me and you can talk offline and try to find a way to word it where, you know, do you prefer this type or that type?
Yeah.
But I think we have some questions this week, right?
Let's get to we got some interesting questions here. So let's
get over there.
Let's see what we got waiting for us.
Got knocked off the hook. Later, I heard him. And you know what it's?
All right, we have some questions, and the first question that comes to us comes from a very, very popular person.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
What's a Switch game you wish you were better at, maybe even elite in, but aren't, and why? And this question comes to us from me. Drew, what's a game that is on the Switch that you wish you were really freaking good at?
You know, John, as the Drunicorns are the defending champs in the Monthly Mayhem.
Oh, God.
There's not much I need or wish since we are defending champions. But, you know, I don't know. I thought about this question a lot over the last few days. I thought about it in the shower, thought about it on my car rides, stayed awake in bed thinking about it. And, you know, I don't have a great answer. I'm happy with my gaming skills as they are. And, I don't know. There was nothing that jumped out at me. You know?
Yeah, maybe Mario Kart, maybe Mario Party, Paladins. You just mentioned these games. Could you be elite in them? Would you, if you were elite in Paladins, if you woke up tomorrow and a genie said that you are now elite in Paladins, would you go play Paladins, or would you be like, I don't care?
I just think, I don't know if I want to be like that good at a video game.
I've got a couple games.
What about you? Yeah.
I've been wanting to get back into some of these older games this past week, and I started to a little bit. Splatoon, not Splatoon, but like specifically Salmon Run. I really wanted to play through Salmon Run some more. I never really understood like the prize system and how it all worked. I watched a video on it, and so yeah, I'm going to be playing a lot more Salmon Run. So I wish I was really good at Salmon Run, but the game I think for me is Rocket League. I watched a video of a guy who was just like an elite talented Rocket League player, and just watching people just coast into the sky, you know, because it's a game where you're a car and you speed around, and most basic players, new players, just drive around on the floor playing soccer. But like as you get better, you start to get more air, and you start jumping in, controlling your car in the air, and it's really tough. And I try to do better at it, but like seeing people understand, oh, the ball's at this point, I'm gonna come around and hit it and knock it, instead of just like racing to the ball and just trying to like punt it from wherever you are into the goal. I really wish I was a much better Rocket League player. I probably never will. But it is a game where you can practice a lot. The games are shorter, and it's easy to kind of jump in, jump out. I can see myself starting to play some more Rocket League, but I really wish I was like an elite player. That's my game.
Huh.
We got a bunch of answers. We got a lot of people answering this question in the channel. I won't run through everybody's response, but I will run through the games that they mentioned. So, third strongest mole said Tetris 99. That makes perfect sense to me. I just want to win it one time, really. Neoprime 33, that's Tim. He just in general wants to be better at first-person shooters. He specifically mentioned Call of Duty, Battlefield. I don't know what those games are. They don't exist on the Switch. I wonder if they're on Game Pass, though.
Oh, John.
And Fortnite, another game that looks better on Xbox. I think a lot of people believe that. I mean, being really good at one first-person shooter usually translates to others. That would be a nice one. I'm not sure how to pronounce him, but Mancher PJP said Smash Brothers, which I think is obvious if you're a Nintendo player. Blockfort went with Splatoon 2. Quite surprisingly, I've never really heard him talk about it much, but
maybe that's why he sucks at it.
He sucks.
Get better.
I mean, he sucks at most games. He sucks at Animal Crossing, I've heard,
then
too.
You just lost his vote. Dan, you're welcome to join Drew's Clues.
Super Nintendo, he also went with Tetris 99. And Marty also went with Splatoon 2. Also surprising. I think all of these games are actually expected. Maybe some of the people might have surprised me a little bit, but I think it would be great to be really, really good at a game. I just don't want to play a game for 2,000 hours to do that. I just want it to be granted to me.
But I don't know if you could put all the hours in the world. Doesn't make you mean that you're going to be good at it.
You'll be better at it. I have a friend who's at like 1,200 hours in Splatoon 2. So he's going to be better than me because he's played so much Splatoon 2.
I think what that does is it makes you understand the mechanics of the game. You see a weapon, you know what that weapon does. You know the maps inside out. I do agree that time will naturally, even if your hand-eye coordination doesn't change or anything like that, you're just going to know the game better. Agreed.
Oh, yeah. This question here. This comes from Bobzilla.
Yeah, good name.
I bought the game a while ago, and I'm still trying to get into it. What do you guys like best about Witcher 3? Drew, why don't you start?
I mean, I think it's obvious. There's naked chits everywhere, but besides that, you can go to a brothel and interact with all the different naked women in any way you can imagine. The game itself, for me, that I loved was absolutely the theming, right? So it was that Witcher, gloomy, dark world where you could kind of do a lot of side quests, right? So I think for me, which really kept me active, which is also your worst enemy because it lengthens the game, is some of the side quests are phenomenal. Like go hunt a werewolf or go down the well and find out why it's being poisoned with the water's being poisoned. Or
did you do the one where you have to get the goat with the bell?
I did. Yeah. So I did a lot of the side quests early, and maybe that's what hurt me. Maybe
I mean, you had a lot of length, Drew. I mean, you definitely had a lot of length doing all those side quests.
Well, you know, but I think it also burns you out, right? Because then you want to get done with the storyline, and but I think again, what I really liked best, and I said it earlier with Xenoblade is the world to explore. And I think the side quests were fun. There are some weaknesses that we've talked about in many of episodes, so I don't need to get into it. But just the theming of the world and the concept of the game is what I enjoyed the most. How about you?
Witcher 3 is like the opposite of Xenoblade, right? The side quests are incredible. They're all so unique. You don't feel like, oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to get this little enemy or whatever. There's just a story. There's voice acting behind every side quest. There's a million of them, which I think is overwhelming.
Too much.
But the story is so rich, you just never get bored of like going here, doing this. There's always some good reward. You might get laid. Like there's always that hope every time. Like you're going to see something you didn't expect to see. So I really loved it. It's a game that I would like to play through again and try to 100% and do every single side quest. But then every time I say I want to do that, I think about it and go, there's so many things I'd have to redo. And one of the things I didn't like about that, just to bring it a little back to replayability, is there's a bunch of side quests in that game that you can fail and you never get a chance at again. And I don't really like that. I wish I could go back to my save file and just do every other side quest. But sometimes because of the story, and those side quests have such story, the side quests, they fail because, well, you can't play it again because this character is dead now, so you can't do it. But definitely a couple years from now, I want to play through The Witcher 3 again and try to 100% it. If a side quest fails, I'm going to reload a save file and I'm going to do it. Maybe on my Xbox One X. It's a great
ability.
So I'll say to Bobzilla, absolutely. If you have not played this game, absolutely play this game. It's incredible. You'll have a blast. Just play it. It's like nothing else you've played. It's great.
It is a great game. You got to fight through certain parts, but it's worth it.
It's totally worth it. I never had a bad moment. I never fell asleep playing it. I always enjoyed it. Yeah, definitely. Last question here, and we can't get through a show without a question from Blockfort, usually involving genitalia. So here we go. What's your preferred method of birth control, and what do you think Nintendo characters use? Let's start with you, Drew, personally. If you'd like to share.
Sure.
I know you're a modest guy.
Oh, yeah, very modest.
So what is your preferred... What should we say? If your preferred method is maybe not necessarily what you actually use, so if that's different.
I'm very happy with the method we use.
Okay.
So, I have to do zero stuff, which is the best part. So I don't even know what it's called. I think IUD.
Oh, right.
So easy for me. No work. Doesn't require me to wear anything, do anything. No snipping. Snipping is always something that comes up, and you think about it in the back of your mind. But there's something about someone just quoted cutting my balls. Where I'm not a fan of, but IUD worked so far, and knock on wood there, but it makes it so you don't have to put anything else involved.
Yeah, I think you're living that dream, I guess.
I am.
The thing about contraception is it's not 100%. And that always bugs me. This is 98% and this. And it's like, okay, so if I don't want to get my wife pregnant, I'm going to do something that has 98%. So it's like, I still have to mentally prepare for if something were to happen. And that's what scares me about, I think, all contraception, though.
So you double up, right? That's an option.
I've never done that. I have heard of that. That's
well. When I say double up, I mean do.
It's not two ladies. Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's not two ladies. It's not you and an accessory. What I mean is two methods of birth control.
Exactly.
And let me rewind for a minute. I do use two methods. I use the IUD. But I also use the pull-out method because there's nothing like a nice pull-out method. You could get a little chanky with it, and it can also, prevent a baby.
Right.
So that is, again, that's never 100% because you still have the fact that you don't get it all pulled out. You don't have the fact where the IUD doesn't work. So, but to me, I feel like at least I'm double dipping there a little bit,
Right. Pardon the pun there. Yeah, it's more like it's really like triple, because then there's like, taking the shower afterwards, right?
Well, nope, I'm not. It's not happening.
Cool. Yeah, and Blockfort said he is a condom guy, by the way. But he's
not by choice though.
He's snip curious. Yeah. He was looking into the little snippy snip until the stupid COVID-19 came.
You hear about the new method that they like have this electric gun that they just shoot your balls?
Yeah, I'm not against that, actually.
I'm not against it.
It makes me cringe. Like, just when you described it before, I was just like, I'm cringing in my seat, as I think most people are. But like, like it's effective, and I'd rather do that than with condoms. It interferes with the whole process, and it's kind of a mood killer sometimes. But
I mean, here's the thing with condoms. I feel like a condom is something like, it shouldn't be your wife. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that sound weird? I think of a condom and I just think it was like, oh, that was like, you're a kid. It's easy. Nobody has to know, because it's like, but once you into like birth control, like the female knows, and like then maybe their parents know if they're young. Condom was always just the easy thing. You go to the store, you buy some, and that's it. Done.
Right. Yeah. The other ones are definitely like, the pill, IUD, and those kind of like, those are more ideal. But like, yeah, if you weren't married, right, you would probably be wearing a condom. Like, the girl could say, oh, I use the pill or whatever, and I'd be like, I'll wear the condom.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
100%. I mean, and I get it, and it's different for every female. I mean, everyone reacts differently, so you have to keep them in mind.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, I'm at a point in life where I don't need to use any contraception, Danny. So I'll let you use your imagination on that one. But I'll tell you what, it's a good time.
Whatever floats your boat.
I'm waiting for Dan to ask like a question about, oh no, we need to talk about the Nintendo characters. I don't even know where to start. So, okay.
Donkey Kong. I mean, you always should have go straight to Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong. I don't think they make condoms big enough.
I mean, plus, is it furry?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
The Witcher. Okay, so, like, I don't want to spoil this for...
He doesn't give a shit. He just probably plants his seed in all the people and gets the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah. First of all, Bobzilla, like, you might want to skip a minute ahead. But I banged Triss. And I said I was going to move in with her and we're going to move away and whatever. And then like an hour of gameplay later, I was banging Kira Metz. Right. And I'm just like, what an asshole. Like he professes his love to Triss and then he's banging a witch an hour later. Like, what the hell?
I mean,
he's not using protection.
No, he's planting his seed.
Did you notice, like, during the the loading scenes, it says witchers and witches cannot procreate. Like, they say that. So basically they're like saying, don't worry, there's not going to be like Witcher Triss baby.
I kind of wish there were, though.
Yeah, but there's STDs. It's like, oh man, does Triss know about this? And then I banged the what's her face, Yennefer. So
well, I'll tell you what, I planted my seed in every single whore in the brothel. So I went
they
bad
like
for
to
seconds.
go by sex worker, Drew.
I went back for seconds on some of them. So except the one shit that steals your money.
Oh, I only did one of them.
I did every one.
What was your favorite sect? I know this isn't part of the question, but you didn't go all the way through the game. I'll tell you what, the Kira Metz scene.
Time out. I completed the game. The game was to have sex with Triss. I did that, John.
You didn't even reach the credits. You just reached.
It didn't.
Climax.
I climaxed. All right.
You should, if you ever play the game again, go for the Kira Metz those quests. That's pretty. That got pretty hot, and there was like some that were pretty lame. I can't remember some of the exact names on some of these characters, but I know like the brothel I felt was like a little kind of tame. Yennefer was pretty good. The sex scene in the DLC, Hearts of Stone, I think that was like the best one. That was pretty hardcore. But anyway, yeah. So the Witcher, we're saying, just doesn't need anything. So we're back to Donkey Kong now. Like, assuming condoms are, just too small. Is he like only kidnapping women that are on birth control?
He may have done snipped, so he can just go bang around left and right. I don't know. He's too manly that'll get his balls
like
cut off.
Dr. Mario snipping him.
You gotta make an appointment with Dr. Mario.
He's all dressed up like a doctor, and he's like, "You look familiar," and he's like, "No."
Oh, that's the true. That is what Dr. Mario is made for. That's his true identity. He is there to snip.
Is there anybody else in this universe? I'm staring at my amiibos now, going, who would be an interesting person? What about the Animal Crossing characters? Do you think?
I feel like they just like hatch from an egg. They don't even have sets. Someone just plants them. It's like the storts. The storts bring the Animal Crossing people.
This is a good question. We're going to stick this one back on you, Dan. Dan, are the Animal Crossing characters born from eggs or from sexual intercourse? I guess it's always intercourse, right? Born from a womb or born from eggs or born some other way? That's our question for the Dad Crossing guys.
We're going to have to submit that from dads to Dad Crossing next episode.
Yes.
How does Animal Crossing procreate?
We should do
maybe it's like
Dad
Jurassic
Crossing
Park,
After Dark,
where they like are created DNA.
That's possible.
I mean, there's weird animals and shit, so that could be the answer.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
I think so.
All right.
All right. Well,
good question, Dan.
Do you have anything else?
I don't have anything else. Why don't you wrap this episode up?
I will wrap this up. And as always, we have to thank the Nintendo dads for whatever reason, thinking it was a great idea for us to do this amazing Dad After Dark show and be part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. So make sure you subscribe to the Dad After Dark show on all of your favorite podcast feed, right? We're on them all. CastBox, Spotify, Apple, Google, you name it. And if you have not signed up to be a Patreon of Nintendo Dads, we have our own private channel over there. So you have to go sign up. Go to Nintendo Dads Patreon. Sign up is $1 a month. And that $1 a month is worth the admission for us alone. Because John and I are the life of the party, folks. And what that $1 is going to get you is going to give us your private chat with the Dads of the Dark channel in their Discord. And it's also to give you access to all of our monthly Mayhem games where we give away eShop credit every month to the winners. And it's an absolute blast, fun competition. And like we said, this month we're doing Clubhouse games. It is not too late to join. You guys have all the way to June 15th to join. So join. We want as many people as we can. And if you want to get in touch with us, like we said, we're going to be posting some polls later. Follow us over at Twitter at NDadsAfterDark. That's the letter N, Dads After Dark. And you can send us some questions or emails. You know what? Don't do that. Tweet us out. And that's it. That's how you get in touch with us. That's where we're at. Make sure we love hearing from you guys. We love having these fun questions. But John, take us out here. What do we have going on the next couple of weeks? What do we have to look forward to?
Well, we just had a whole bunch of games over the last 2 weeks, but it doesn't slow down quite yet. Something big's happening. Pokemon Isle of Armor DLC, the first of 2 DLCs that are coming out, comes out June 12th. So that's coming up next week. That should be interesting. I was actually debating jumping back into that game, but I feel like I won't. But I might. June 13th, of course, my Xbox One X Cyberpunk 2077 limited edition. It does come out. Unfortunately, I'm the only audience to that one. June 19th, Burnout Paradise Remastered. This came up as a topic in the channel. It's going to be $50. Is that too much money for Burnout Paradise Remastered? It's not too much money for Tim, but Tim is a millionaire. People don't know this. Tim is a millionaire and he buys everything, and he is buying Burnout Paradise Remastered. So it's just $50 is nothing to him. It's like he wipes his ass. He wipes his ass with $50. True.
When it comes to racing games, he does.
Yeah. Yes. There's no. They need to put out like a $200 racing game. I want to see if Tim gets it.
Comes with the steering wheel and.
No, but Burnout Paradise will probably be pretty fun. I'm not sure how it will look or perform on Switch. But I'm definitely interested in that. I'm not getting it at 50, but I'm gonna throw it on my wish list and keep an eye on the price because crashing cars in Burnout is really fun.
Sure.
Love that slow mo. Yeah, it's great. So there's some cool games coming out still in June, and then there's gonna be one big one in July. So there's plenty to play. I don't want to hear there's nothing to play. There's so much to play, and there you go. Even more to play.
Absolutely. So, all right, well, thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 12 of the Dads After Dark show. We hope you have a great night. Peace.
Good night, dads.